Good afternoon. My name is Richard, and on YouTube I go by Resilient Rich just because it takes true resilience to stay on the narrow path that leads to eternal life, especially in these days, man. Spiritual warfare is insane, dude, and it seriously seems like it's like right when you feel you're catching a break, it's like you're tricked, man. Like right when you're like, man, all right, I can deal with this. It ramps up times 10 and it gets hard, dude. It gets draining. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. But yeah, man, it just seems like it gets hard. It gets draining, dude, and it starts to wear on you, man. And it leads to getting frustrated easier, and and that's kind of what my video yesterday was. I was just frustrated, dude. I was done with it. And I didn't even plan on doing that, man. It's just like I go to a place where I know there's hardly anybody ever. And the only reason I went there was because of the wind. I went a back way. And then I'm, just go to make a little video about whatever I was going to talk about. And bam, dude, they show up. And it's irritating, dude. It's like, what gives you the right to think that you can do whatever you want, but you don't find it okay for people that you decide to target to even have alone time? That's sick, dude. That's a whole another level of narcissism, man. And I promise you, dude, whoever started this in my life, it's good. It's not going to be good for you, man. I'm not saying that as a threat from anything I'm going to do. It's life, dude. It's karma, and it's how it works. And I'm going to do as the Lord tells me to, and not seek revenge and not wish it on you. But this is messed up, man. I know what I've done. I know what life I've lived, just like I'm sure a lot of other targeted people. And no one deserves this crap, man. And I guarantee whoever decided to start doing this to me and to a lot of other people, you live way worse of a life than we even come close to, because you're doing something like this. Highly illegal. I guarantee it, man. But, these people think that they can get away with murder, man. And a lot of them do. Literally. It's sick. But I was doing my study this morning, man. I woke up. It was crazy, dude. I have a little story I want to tell just to explain how tired I am, man. And not to mention the constant noise harassment last night, dude. It was insane. It's like I made that video and they just went nuts, dude. But I get to sleep, dude, and I was watching a video that I was into. I don't like a man of the Lord too. I forgot who I was watching, but I know I was into it, dude. I don't even remember falling asleep. I just bam, and then I hear my phone ring, and it's like 1 a.m. I answer it. It's dispatch. They're like, "Hey, we have a load for you if you want it." I'm like, "All right." Like half asleep. I'm like, "All right, let me get up and get going, and I'll head the load out." "Okay, thank you." I'm like half awake, trying to remember where I'm even at. I accept the load. I get up, start getting dressed. My mind is like on what I'm going to go get an energy drink, like what I'm going to do before I go get the load. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, dude. I'm freaking off today and I'm not even in Douglas, Wyoming. So I text dispatch. I'm like, dude, or it was a lady. I'm like, I didn't say ma'am. I'm just like, I am so sorry. I was like, when you called, when I answered, I was still half asleep. I was like, once I gathered my bearings and woke all the way up, I realized I'm not even hooked up to the trailer. I'm not even in Douglas and I'm off today. I was like, and I even accepted the load. I was like, I seriously apologize. And they're like, haha, it's all right. But dude, like, it's just how far gone you can get dealing with this kind of crap, man. But I was doing my study this morning, and I came across two scriptures in Proverbs 24. It's actually verses 24 and 25 that hit home, dude. And I'll share them in a minute. But you're one of two types of people, man. You're either a leader or a follower. And I'm not saying if you're a leader, like you're a boss of a company or you're some Billy tough guy or nothing like that, dude. It's just you have morals and a certain code that you stick to, and there's no bending that for no one. Or you're the type of person that just, like most of society, that just falls in line, dude, that just goes along with society and goes along with whatever, whether you think it's good or bad, evil or righteous, you know, it don't matter. Like, as long as you can fit in and be a part of the crowd, you're gonna just fall in line and go that way. Or you're the opposite, like I just said. And if you're a follower, dude, for one, you're not happy in life. For two, you can change that, man. You can change that and you can surprise people, but you can't do it by yourself. It takes a relationship with God, and He will do things in your life that seriously, it's cool to see, man, because it honestly like surprises you. You know what I mean? Like, I can look into a camera right now and talk, man. I used to not even be able to look into the mirror at myself. Like, even when I was doing my beard or whatever, like, I would make sure not to look at myself. That's how insecure I was, man. And I don't think I was ever possessed, like, by a demon. I don't want to say that. But I know I was oppressed. And I think the reason I couldn't look in the mirror is because the way I was living, man. I was not a horrible person. I was a good dad. I've always been a good dad. But I could have been way better, man. And I would go through phases and just binge on alcohol for months and not care about anything, to the point I would get so sick I would lose jobs, and I just wasn't a good person, man. I mean, in society's eyes, it was no big deal. Like, you know, like how people in society think, but I knew I wasn't doing what was right. And that caused demonic oppression, not possession. Maybe it did. I don't know. I don't think it did. But it definitely caused oppression, man. And when you're oppressed, it brings shame. That's why a lot of these gang stalkers, like I said yesterday, cannot even look at you. You'll be looking at them just like this. Are you happy? Are you happy with what you're doing? You know, I'm not saying that, but looking at them like that. And they will walk by and put their head down. And when you're oppressed, man, these demons are of Satan. The last thing they want is for you to be happy. They are going to bring insecurement in you. And that's why I would make a point not to even look in the mirror. And my ex I was with, like, during this time, she never had that issue. Like, I could see that she'd be doing her makeup and looking all pretty, looking in the mirror, looking right at herself. And I never told her this, but I was always like, I wish I could do that. You know what I mean? Like, why can't I look at myself in the mirror? And now I know, dude. It's because I was living in guilt and shame, dude. And like I said, in society's eyes, I was really doing nothing wrong at all. But I think, like, if you're chosen of God, that's what makes you different. Because you can't just live the normal life. You constantly feel this conviction, man, that you're doing something wrong. And that's not a bad thing. I'm grateful for that. That's God trying to call you out of it. Like the word says, man, many are called, but few are chosen. The people who are chosen are the ones who are called, and they listen to that call, man. And they don't change overnight, dude. I still have so much I need to work on. But you start to try to become a better person, man. Start to stop living a certain way. You change your mindset. You develop a true personal relationship with the Lord, man. And as we do that, He transforms us from the inside out, man. Like, I'm telling you, dude, like I said, if you're targeted, dude, I'm not saying my experience is any worse than yours. But what I will say is I'm targeted on a very heavy level, extreme heavy level, worse than it's ever been. And I know 100% for sure, for a fact, who I was before October of 2023, or even during that time, man. It took a minute to change and realize what was going on. Who I was then wouldn't have been able to handle this, dude. I know it. There's 3 things that would have happened. I don't want to say this. It's shameful to admit. And I would like to think I wouldn't have, but I'm going to be honest, man. There's a possibility I would have either, which I consider the worst of the worst decision to make, joined them. Like I said, I don't even want to say that, man. I would like to think I wouldn't, but there's a possibility I would have, man. Joined them, done something out of anger and ended up in prison, or be dead, or I would be living in pure misery, dude, to the point of probably not even being able to get out of bed, man. Like, if you're targeted, you know there's few people that can handle this kind of stuff, man. And on your own, you can't. You might think you can, but you're not going to last. I promise you that. So what I'm saying, dude, is through a relationship with God, that changed. And even though I'm going through the hardest thing I've ever went through in my life, I wake up and experience some more peace than I've ever experienced in my life. I wake up and I love myself. I am able to actually, even with all this noise harassment and everything that they do, man, I'm still able to sleep at night better than I was ever able to sleep before. And this isn't pride, man. This is straight all glory to God, dude. And like, I mean that. Like, it's true, man. He can transform your life in a way that will surprise you. But you'll never know that unless you give it a chance. It's so easy to be a follower, dude. And to give in and to not stick up for what's right. But I want to share those scriptures that I read. In Proverbs chapter 24, Proverbs chapter 24, verses 24 and 25. This is 24. Whoever says to the wicked, "You are in the right," will be cursed by peoples, abhorred by nations. 25. But those who rebuke the wicked will have delight. A good blessing will come upon them. So if you're hanging out with people, dude, and you know what they're doing is wrong, but just to fit in and to be part of the club and whatever, you're not saying anything. You're not sticking up for what's right. And you're even just going along with it, being a part of it. That is going to bring things to your life that you're not going to enjoy. And that's a fact, dude. And I guarantee some of you who are doing this are experiencing that kind of stuff right now. But if you develop the backbone and get in a relationship with God and rely on Him and not yourself, and call out darkness and rebuke darkness and not be afraid of what anyone thinks, dude, but you stick to what you believe is right. It may seem like it's taken forever and it might take a very long time, but it's going to pay off. And then when that time comes and you're laying in your bed knowing your time's right around the corner, you are going to be at 100% peace. Because God's going to be right there with you, putting your mind at ease, letting you know that you lived a worthy life. I'm letting you know that in a very short time, you're going to be with him. To where if you just follow and go along with evil and whatever people are doing that you know is wrong, but you just do it to fit in, that time that you're going to be laying on your bed, an old man or woman, knowing that your time to have your ticket punched and be taken out of this world is right around the corner. You're going to be in anguish and misery. And you're going to be thinking, man, this was so quick. If I would have just done what is right, I wouldn't be worried. But now I don't know where I'm going. And I hope that the Lord has the grace to forgive me. But I lived my whole life persecuting his people and doing what I knew was wrong. Or I lived my whole life around people who persecuted the Lord's people and didn't say anything. I just turned a blind eye. And it's going to bring devastation, man. And you can always change that. But I would start now. And that's just a little piece of what I believe, man. I get weak. My flesh overcomes my spirit. You know, like the word says, your spirit wants to do what's right, but your flesh wants to do what's wrong. Your flesh wants to sin. And there's times my flesh gets the best of me, dude. But I don't live there. I don't dwell in it. I get up, I brush off, and I keep going, just like a lot of people do. Anyone can do that. It takes a change of mind and a desire to be a decent person. And from there, change comes. That will surprise you, man, in a very good way. But I'll leave it at that. You guys have a good day. And I hope this touches someone in a good way. Possibly pulling someone out from the sinful life that they're living, man. But you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next one.